A few videos ago I did talk about how PlatinumGames, which developed Metal Gear Rising, that was one of my favorite games back then. Really did a good job, considering the little time they had, and I also said they should have been given the chance to develop a proper sequel. But honestly, thinking about it, I don't think the Platinum of today would be able to pull it off, because the company in the last 10 years has undergone a drastical change. A lot of people have left. The company seems to have changed focus to online service games, from what I've heard. So it's just not the same Platinum as before. So let's say even if Konami nowadays were to actually say, okay, let's make a sequel to Metal Gear Rising and gave it to Platinum, I don't think they would be able to pull it off properly, because they lost so many people from the old days. Even the director, sorry, from Metal Gear Rising 1 is not at the company anymore. Kenji Sato, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's not there anymore. And Kamiya too. Actually, I should have made this video when Kamiya left back in October last year, but I was working on other videos, so it really slipped my mind, but I should have talked about it. And yeah, so now we are pretty much 10 years later from Metal Gear Rising, and the company is just, I don't know what it is anymore. I haven't played one of their games in a lot of time. Granted, I was a pretty vocal fan of theirs. I really liked some of their games, mostly Vanquish, Bayonetta, and Metal Gear Rising. And back in 2013, 2014, up until Scalebound's cancellation, they were on top of the world. They seemed to be at the top of a lot of people's lists when it comes to which developer would you like to make a game about something. The answer was almost always Platinum. I would like Platinum to make a game about this. I would like Platinum to make a video game about Ninja Turtles. Yeah, and then they did, and it sucked. I mean, this is what I have read. I haven't played the Turtles game by Platinum, but this is what people said. So also it was delisted. But yeah, they up until 2015, 2016, they were really on everybody's mouth. But then when Scalebound was cancelled, I think it's when they really died. Not physically, of course, but more in the sense of spiritually. They just were not the same anymore. The company started shifting focus slowly, and they were actually on the brink of bankruptcy, from what I understand. It was only thanks to Yoko Taro, because he gave them the possibility to develop Nier Automata, and also from Nintendo, because Nintendo was giving them work quite often. They were funding exclusives from them, stuff like Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 3. So it was mostly thanks to Square Enix and Nintendo that they didn't go under, and even Kamiya did say that. I mean, as far as I can say when it comes to Scalebound, because I did follow the development of the game pretty closely, and from what I understand, the blame on the game's cancellation, it's kind of a mixed bag, probably, because it was a big deal of it was due to Microsoft's unreasonable requests from what I understand. But it also was, some of it was on Platinum's inexperience probably when developing this kind of game. Even though, in my opinion, most of the blame is on Microsoft, because when you look and go and look at it, Platinum worked with a lot of publishers. They worked with Square Enix, they worked with Konami, they worked with Nintendo, they worked with Sega. And I don't recall them ever having problems with any of them. But now suddenly with Microsoft they are having problems. So I think, evidence points to most of the blame being on Microsoft, but maybe this is just me. Of course, like I said, Platinum is not without blame, but I think they did their best. So they shouldn't feel bad more than they already have to, especially Kamiya. Because Kamiya seems like a hard-working guy that puts a lot of passion in his project. So yeah, after the game's cancellation, things were rough for them. And I personally think that Scalebound was the game they needed, because especially if you go and look in comparison at someone like From Software. If you look at From Software games, they all share a similar structure, similar combat, but also similar world structure. They give you complete liberty, more or less, to explore an interesting world. The combat, I won't get too much into it. The combat is functional in Souls games. At least, I only speak from my experience. I've only played Dark Souls and Demon Souls, so I haven't seen what came after that. But the combat was functional in those games. It was the mix of everything that made the experience interesting. And I think Platinum lacked this kind of game in their portfolio. This is why they weren't. They haven't become as big as From Software, because they weren't able to showcase a game that was actually able to be appealing to a lot of people, like the Souls games are. Since the Platinum games always focus on high-fast action combat, which is not for a lot of people. A lot of people prefer slower combat with exploration, which is what most Souls games are. And I think, like I said, Scalebound was that type of game, that type of slower-paced game, also with decent combat, the combat that is typical from an action RPG, with a little bit of Devil May Cry in it. So I think that cancellation was what really prevented them from reaching, from reaching the top, from being like a real top player in the industry. That, and also Konami never greenlighting Metal Gear Rising 2. I think if Scalebound had actually come out and reviewed decently, even though it would have flopped probably on Xbox, because the Xbox audience doesn't buy those games. But it would have been released on PC, so maybe something could have done. But yeah, like I said, if Metal Gear Rising 2 and Scalebound actually did come out, maybe nowadays Platinum will be in a different situation. It will be a little bit better in financially, and maybe they shouldn't have had the need to take money from Tencent in 2020. So pretty much I think that was the event that changed the company's focus mostly. But like I said, I haven't been following them anymore, because after Scalebound they seem to me like a shell of their former self. So I really don't know. But now I don't feel any passion towards them anymore, which is sad. Like Kamiya's leaving was pretty much the last straw in that sense. They are just a name now. They are not the Platinums of the first few years, which is very sad. Now, as far as I remember, Kamiya is still unemployed, and Mikami did live more than 10 years ago at this point, after Vanquish was completed, but he did leave also Tango last year as well. These guys keep making new studios and then leaving, only to make another studio. That's probably their modus operandi at this point until they go into retirement. But once they go into retirement, the industry will lose quite a lot of talent, honestly, because they've made history in this landscape with the games they had worked on, and also their teams as well, because it was a team effort. But the director is the one that gives the direction, of course, the final input to the project. So their name will remain in history for sure. And but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are about Platinum. Even though nowadays, like I said, not many people still talk about them. But what was your experience with their games? Do you like them? Do you enjoy them, or you didn't give a fuck? As usual, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.